What is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We are driving home from work on a Sunday, and I'm not sure if this video is like a hype video like I normally make. Talking about wrestling, trying to get a little bit pumped up, get what's off of my mind, and see if anybody out there wants to start a discussion, whether it's in the comments here or whether it's over on Twitter or anything like that. Maybe just get somebody else thinking what I'm thinking, or maybe just somebody's going to say you're an idiot. There's no way in the world that's going to happen. That's happened plenty of times for my friends Zach and Luke, who probably thought I was a complete moron most of the time for pretty much thinking that anything in wrestling was a work at the time. But I just kind of wanted to get it off my chest that, WrestleMania 40 is coming right up around the corner. I know at one point I really thought, even if it was only for a day, I planned out a trip to Philadelphia. And right now, because The Rock's going to be involved, I know with Rock being on the board, I know he's not going to be like Vince McMahon where he's just around all the time. I don't think he's going to be a permanent fixture. I definitely think that he'll be a guy we see around the big events of the year. I don't even know if we'll see him every year at Royal Rumble or SummerSlam, but when they need to make something a big deal, they'll bring him out there. I think that pretty much, Triple H will take care of the day-to-day on-screen huge big announcements. Other than that, they'll use the GMs that they have for the small measly stuff. You don't need The Rock or Triple H to get involved with what's going on with the Intercontinental Championship or anything like that. But, stuff that revolves around the main event, I think that'll be it. But, for years, I've been making videos on here talking about, how cool it is when The Rock is involved in wrestling, and, wanted him to come back and be a part, because he always seemed like he wanted to do it, but then when push comes to shove, he wasn't really around, and I understand. It is what it is. It's the same reason. I am 100% sure that John Cena loves wrestling, but there's so much money to be made out there, and plus he wants to, push his movie career further to be a main event movie star, much like he was during his wrestling career. He wants to get to bigger roles, whether if it's in comedy roles, whether if it's in action roles or drama roles, whatever he's pushing for. I'm sure he wants the biggest project that he's able to get, and he kind of doesn't want to keep doing these straight to Hulu releases. It was Vacation Friends or whatever the heck that was. The movies were good, but I don't really think they're movies that were going to push his career further along. I'm sure that he loves wrestling, but there's more money to be made out there making those movies than there is, driving town to town, taking bumps, and not taking care of himself, I guess you can say. But The Rock is back in wrestling, whether if it's about the $30 million deal of stock that he got to get his seat on the board, and whether he thinks that that's going to make his stock worth more in the long run, or just try and get WWE out of the rut that it's in with all the Vince McMahon talk, and try and push that out as much as they can, putting out a good product and having a great WrestleMania is there. I don't know. I've been through this in my life before. I've talked about it in between WrestleMania 21. In between WrestleMania 19 and WrestleMania 21. I just didn't watch wrestling. And the amount of wrestling that I watch right now is minimal. I understand that, a lot of my friends are really enjoying what's going on AEW. Even though some of the shows are shorter, much like the 1 hour Friday show they have, I don't know. I think that AEW pushed themselves into a spot much like WWE was, where you had 3 hour Raws, you had 3 hour SmackDowns. Now AEW has 6 hours of television, on weekdays, and it's just what are we doing here? I honestly think they understand you have to make TV shows in order to make money, but this is too much yet again. And I understand they got a big roster. They gotta have, find time for everybody, make sure that it's worth having these guys around. But I don't know. I think that they honestly push themselves too big to the point where it's just impossible for me to follow. But The Rock is coming out there, and I'm seeing his promos like on Twitter when they're posted. And this is, some of the best stuff that I've seen from WWE in a long time that seems like it's believable. Like they're crossing that line, making you think like what's real, what's fake. What are they working on in the back to come out with the best outcome, and what is somebody's like true feelings that they're just letting loose, that somebody will have to get a receipt for somewhere down the road. But I don't know. We're like 2 weeks away from WrestleMania, and I know I'm going to watch it unless there is something over the top more important that I have to do. Like last year, I drove down to LA on night 1. I went to Universal on night 2, and I told myself, like, you'll watch this. I went out. It was on the network from the minute I got home. I bought the Blu-ray for my collection, and I never watched it. True confessions. I've never seen WrestleMania 39. I haven't seen a minute of it. It is what it is. But I think maybe I'm just at a point in my life where I just don't really care about wrestling. When I watch wrestling on the nights when like I'm by myself, I find myself getting more enjoyment out of watching like an old series of matches from like Coliseum Home Video that doesn't even really pertain to like a pay-per-view or a main feud, just two guys, and it's like, this is interesting to watch. Or watching a Saturday night's main event and then trying to like piece together like why they're doing this, where they're going to, trying to remember like what happens at the pay-per-view. That stuff gets me more enthralled. Maybe it's because of like it's stirring up old memories from my childhood or something like that. But like my jam right there now seems to be like 1990 to 1993 WWF. It seems like I get more enjoyment out of watching that. I understand there's some big stuff going on at Mania. Like one of the things that I was even wondering if they were going to do was involve 2 nights of Mania and actually have somebody fight on both nights. I like the idea that your main event of night 1 is going to be Rock and Roman fighting for their chance to fight each other in the main event of night 2 against Rollins and Cody. Rollins and Cody are fighting for Cody to fight against Roman at the end of night 2. I understand there's going to be some sort of a turn, and it really makes sense for The Rock to turn on Roman, whether if he does it on night 1 or on night 2. I think it's stupid both ways, honestly. I think it's stupid for Rock to cost Roman, for them not to have the Bloodline Rules match during night 2 where anything goes. And then I also think it's stupid that the Rock would cost Roman the match night 1, and then does he just not even show up night 2? Does he have somewhere else to be? He's got to be there both nights, right? You wouldn't promote this much to just duck out night 2, but what do you need him for if you're not doing Roman versus Rock? I don't know. The person I feel bad for is Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch, who are going to be fighting for the Women's Championship over on the Raw side. I thought that would have been a great night 1 main event. Rhea's been on a tear, and I feel bad, but I love Becky Lynch as well. I wanted to see a really good match, but I want to see the dominance of Rhea Ripley continue. I know that Becky kind of like went out there and told her to her face she needed to win the Rumble because she needed to be able to prove that she could beat her. And I thought that was an excellent storyline. And I know that kind of like what do you do? Becky Lynch has already gone through like one transformation where like she lost the championship match. She like kind of went nuts. You could see it in the way she dressed and her hair and things like that. that she was just like going crazy, that she needed to get that win back. But what do? Does she go through something like that again? Does she just go to the end of the line, be a back burner for like a year before you start to heat her up again? Because the women's division's got a lot of big names in there. And then as soon as Charlotte gets healthy, gets back into the ring again, you know that they're going to want to make her as hot as she's ever been, because she hasn't been around. And it's one of the first like long-term injuries that I believe that Charlotte has, where she hasn't been on television week in and week out. And I could be wrong, but I think she's been around pretty much mainstay since 2016 when she came up to the main roster, maybe 2015. It had to have been 15, I'm pretty sure. But you know, there's other good matches. The stuff that McIntyre is doing, I think is really good. The only problem is that he's going to be going up against Seth Rollins, and to me, the fight that I kind of want to see is McIntyre versus Punk. And for a reason, I mean, for a while, I really thought that even though Punk was hurt, I thought that like Punk was going to like beat him up or like, you know, do something physical at WrestleMania, not have a match, but at least I guess he could get involved. But then you have like Punk, you know, interfering in a Rollins match, and Rollins and Punk don't really go together either. A lot of people thought that was going to be the WrestleMania match if he ended up not getting hurt. So that gets like kind of spaghetti jumbled all up right there too. But WrestleMania, it's going to be a good show. It's going to be fun. It just doesn't seem that I get fired up for wrestling at all. LA Knight versus AJ Styles is as much like so-so as it gets. I understand that Judgment Day is going to have a tag team match for you know, the titles. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed about that, because like you got Priest who's running around with the Money in the Bank, yet I always can remember people talking about the fact that they won the Money in the Bank. They were going to use it to main event WrestleMania. I thought that was the main storyline of what the Money in the Bank was created for, and you know, they changed it up in my mind with Cena coming out. No, it was Edge coming out and challenging Cena after Elimination Chamber. And I remember the feeling of like, are they allowed to do that? Is that you know what they're allowed to do? But Vince said it, so it must have been right. And then he's tagging with Finn Balor. At one point, I thought Finn Balor was going to be the greatest wrestler in the world. And I understand he's like getting up there. I think he's around 43 or something like that. And like, am I ever going to see the main event push of Finn Balor that I thought I was going to get? Or him at SummerSlam, you know, beating Rollins? Is that the only like main event championship that he's ever going to win in WWE, which sucks. I really like him still. I really liked him then, and I just thought that he was going to be it. But then, like, again, like when you watch football, when you watch baseball, blue chip guys that you think you're going to be like future stars don't really, I'm not going to say he's not a star, but it didn't really come out in the end the way that I thought it was going to be. But Mania's coming up. LA Knight against AJ Styles. I don't know how I got on to Finn Balor, but that's just kind of a match. I bet it would be a good opener, whether if it's for night 1 or night 2. I thought it was cool what they did, like where they did the shot, man. It looked like they were on cops. Is what it is, but I don't know. I mean, I'm doing a lot of work on my room right now, where I took my bookshelves down and I put up some new shelves that I bought from IKEA. Put those things together, which was, you know, not a lot of work, but just a lot, because I bought so many shelves all at once. And now I'm moving things around, and I'm kind of looking at my wrestling things. I packed up all of my DVDs to basically go into my garage. I made a short video on that the other day, but, you know, sad day for the Stevie Breach channel. But I kept all of like the Superstar DVDs and theme DVDs. Go away.